The first ever Nerdy Girls Table Talk. We're going to be discussing Endgame today. So we've all seen Endgame. We all really enjoyed the movie. Don't consider this a review at all. It's not a critique. I'm not a movie critic, but we are going to talk about what we liked, what we maybe didn't like so much, and maybe cry again as we discuss the end of the movie. But I brought some friends with me. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I've been friends with Becca since high school.
And
I'm Lori. I'm the nerdy mama.
This is Mom. So, let's just start from the beginning. So, Endgame starts 22 days post-snap with Iron Man, Tony Stark, in the spaceship running out of air and out of food with Nebula.
So sad. Not how I wanted to start the movie.
Right? But did you guys notice the change in Nebula?
She changed earlier than that, though.
Yeah, but just in general, you started seeing the change in Guardians 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you started seeing a bigger change on Titan in Infinity War.
Yeah, she's officially, she's not on Thanos' side anymore, and that's something she made very clear at the end of Guardians 2 when she said that she was going to go kill Thanos. And so she had officially really joined the Guardians at that point when she had decided that, she wasn't going to fight for Thanos anymore. She was going to fight for everybody else. And that was kind of working against her wiring too, because Thanos is the one that wired how she's built and, how her brain really works. And so she was really going against that after Guardians 2 and, Infinity War, when Thanos puts her through that torture of
To find out where the
Soul Stone was. Yeah. But it starts and you can tell that Tony's been really sick. He got an infection from the stab from Thanos, and they got rid of the infection in that 22 days, but you can tell he's extremely sick, and lack of oxygen, lack of food really, I think it went to his mind too, because when they talk about going after Thanos to get the stones,
he loses it.
He's done.
When Captain Marvel comes in and saves him and takes him back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the saddest part of that scene was when he walked off and he hugged Captain America and says, "I lost the boy." I was like,
yeah.
Crying starts right away. Right off the bat. Make you cry. And you kind of see Thor's down spiral too, because they finally get to the garden where Thanos is and find out that Thanos has used the stones to destroy the stones, which we find out in Infinity War only a stone can destroy a stone.
Exactly. Which
is why Scarlet Witch is the only one that can destroy a stone, because she got her powers from Loki's scepter, which was a stone. And you see Thor really lose it. He chops off his head and he's done. He thinks he's failed, and he's never failed before.
For him, it wasn't even just failing. It was he lost his family.
He lost everything. He lost
and
half of his nation. He lost his brother. His parents are both dead.
Yeah.
His best friend is gone.
You can just tell he is done.
And you can tell that all of them have a really bad case of PTSD.
You
you can totally tell.
Much. In the 22 movies, they go through hell and back.
Yeah.
It's not even just them that has the PTSD, though.
Yeah.
It's the entire world.
Yeah.
Because they have that scene where Cap is sitting there and he's talking through everything
in the
with
5 years
everybody.
later, yeah.
So, they do the next time jump 5 years instead of 22 days, and that's where it's, you find out that
nobody ever moved past it.
No.
Other than Tony.
Tony...
But did he really move past it?
Yes and no.
He got very
to
lucky.
A happy point, because
his
person was still there.
Yeah.
Pepper was still alive.
Yeah.
And the fact that he could continue with his life because his person was still there.
Yeah.
And he has a daughter, and so in a way he had moved on, because in a way he didn't want to help with even trying to go back.
Yeah. No, he had what he wanted. He did not want to have to go after Thanos again. He didn't want to experience the loss that they experienced the first time. And he didn't want to lose what he currently had by going after Thanos and him snapping everybody out of existence.
And then there's Scott Lang, who was stuck in the quantum realm. Which, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I love Paul Rudd. I think
He's hilarious.
he is so funny. And, the fact that, a rat goes crawling across him and ding, and then boom, there he is. It's like, and then he's walking into a world. He has no freaking clue.
And it's 5 years later.
And it's 5 years later.
Yeah, and he's like, it's been 5 hours for me. It wasn't 5 years, it was 5 hours. And he didn't realize it had been that long until he didn't know what was going on until he found the memorial to the Vanished.
And he was on it.
Well, because nobody knew
where he was.
Yeah, they thought
he was
had
just gone.
been snapped too because he just wasn't there, and everybody that he associated with was already gone. Like
other than his daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the reunion between him and his daughter was, cried.
There was a lot of crying.
Did not cry.
I didn't cry
at that part. I teared up at pieces of it.
Yeah,
but I didn't cry until the end.
That's when the sobbing happens.
Yeah.
But so Scott gets out of the quantum realm, and we knew. I mean, we had discussed it after Ant-Man and the Wasp that somehow the quantum realm was going to factor in to into Endgame. That was going to factor into how they got everybody back. We just didn't know how it was going to factor because, outside of watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, we don't know much about the quantum realm. They don't speak about it in any of the other movies.
Before that, they didn't really know much about it either.
Yeah,
Tony kind of, when they first brought it up to Tony, he's like, so we're doing Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Back to the Future jokes were pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, when they finally figured it all out, and they're like, Back to the Future is on a lie.
But when Bruce Banner, wasn't even Thor at that point, figures out that...
You mean Hulk?
No, it was Bruce Banner because...
You said Thor.
You did.
You said Thor.
My brain's gone. So when Bruce Banner talks to the Ancient One, he figures out that no matter what they do in the past, it doesn't necessarily affect the timeline that they're currently in. And that's when the Back to the Future is a big fat lie, and that's not what's going to happen. It comes into play. But I'm glad that Tony kind of had
his happily ever after.
Well, no, I'm glad he had a change of heart because everything would have been completely different had he not.
They wouldn't have figured it out.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and you got to stop and think too. Pepper Potts. Look at the evolution that she's gone through.
Yeah, in the first movie, screaming at him, "You did what?"
Yeah.
And you can't leave this alone. I know how you are. You're not going to leave this alone. You need to help.
And even in Iron Man 3, because did you watch all the movies in chronological order before? Or
you realize tax season ended?
Oh, that's right.
10 days ago.
She's a tax accountant, so she did not watch the movies in chronological order like we did because she's been working 80-hour weeks. But we watched all the movies in chronological order, starting with Captain America, Winter Soldier. So not in the order that they were made.
First Avenger. We started with First Avenger.
Captain America, First Avenger. And so it's not in the order that they were made, but in the order that
the timeline
the timeline goes through. And so, we picked up on a lot of things that you wouldn't have necessarily noticed the first couple times had you not watched it in that order. Like you watch Captain Marvel, and then you go into one of the Iron Man movies, and he talks about Project Goliath and Project Pegasus, which is
directly related to
Captain Marvel. So, you see things by doing it that you didn't see before. And, that stuff plays into Endgame as well, because in the very first Avengers movie, when they're fighting Loki's army, he talks about, Tony Stark said, he points up to the sky and he says, that's the Endgame. And sure enough, the Endgame had to do with what was outside of Earth, and
that first battle in New York with Thanos' goons is what really freaked Tony out. If you think
that's
about
where the PTSD starts.
Yeah, in Iron Man 2. Is it Iron Man 2 or 3 where he starts controlling him in 3? So in Iron Man 3, he's having a nightmare, and one of his superbots goes after Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then, you know, he's hanging out with the kid as the mechanic. And every time that poor kid mentioned New York, he would just lose it.
Panic attacks. And
Yeah.
I mean, they all really had a lot of PTSD going into Infinity War, and then you come into Endgame where they've just lost everybody. And Thor is a prime example for that. Can we talk about Thor's dad bod, fat Thor, whatever you want to call it?
I was so sad.
I was like, where did the abs go?
And they didn't come back at the end.
No, I was thinking like at the end the lightning hits him. I was like, yes, the abs are gonna come back. Nope, you just see like the belly, like
And the brain.
and it's like like the hair and the facial hair doesn't go away. No, they're like, let's make him even better. Let's braid the beard. Like,
Only part of the beard, because he still had all. It was just
they like
right
braided
here.
it into the beard. Like it was so bad. Like Fat Thor. Whatever you want to call him. Like.
But I could definitely see it going on with everything else he'd been through, and the fact that he took to alcohol as his kind of crutch, so he could get through the day and get through his thought process.
And that's the case of really bad PTSD. Is, you know, he never failed before. Everything he's done, he's succeeded at, and he thought, you know, if we find Thanos, we can get the stones and we can reverse all of this. Like, they had a solid plan of how they were going to do it, just for them to find Thanos and find out that they can't reverse it because he's destroyed the stones.
You know, and the fact that they had enough PIM particles
For one round trip each.
Yeah. You know, I mean, that was...
But they figured a way out around that.
Yeah, America's ass.
Yes. So my
America's
favorite
ass.
line of that movie is, that's America's ass. Like,
But at the same point, his ass looks much better in the later movies than it did in the first couple movies.
well, I don't care. Like, I agree with Chris Evans. That is America's ass. Like,
Yes, but America's ass got better.
he got better pants. It just framed everything better.
It makes America's ass better.
You know, and then you kind of, your heart kind of twitters a little bit when he goes back to 1970 and he's standing in the office and he sees his picture, his skinny picture on Peggy's desk.
Yeah.
You know, and he just stands there and he watches her without her ever knowing it.
Without her ever noticing that he was standing on the other side of the window from her.
What got me more is when Tony got to spend the time with his dad, which
Oh,
he hadn't
right.
seen.
Yes, I cried.
I didn't cry.
I
but
did.
like the fact that he got to sit there and have a conversation with his dad and got to go over the same things he was feeling when he had his daughter is the way his dad was feeling when he had him.
Right.
And like they bonded over that, and that's something that he didn't really get the chance to because he died when Tony was so young.
Yeah.
And what I love too is, you know, they made it kind of awkward, but Tony hugs Howard.
No, which was kind of funny.
And so Tony hugs Howard, but then when Howard is standing by the car with Jarvis, he says, "Do we know him?" "No, we don't know him. He seems really familiar." So even though he had never had, like, he hadn't met his kid yet, his wife was still pregnant, he understood that there was something familiar about him. He knew him in some ways, unconsciously knew him in some way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, like, with Tony's timeline, he finally got to, you know, bond with his dad, even if it was over, you know, a 30-minute period, over something small, like how they both had, you know, he had a 4-year-old and his dad was, you know, waiting for his wife to give birth, and they got to bond, and that's something that Tony really never got with his dad.
But I think the thing they bonded most about was that they both worked so much.
Yeah.
So much. I mean, when Tony had his daughter, because the world had basically ended, he actually got to spend a lot of time with her.
Right.
Exactly.
But what he learned from his dad, what I think they really bonded about, was the fact that they both work so much and that family is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And to make the time to spend it with your family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who knows if that technically will have a difference in the way Tony's life kind of goes, like, while he's alive. I mean,
well, and that goes back to you change one timeline, but it doesn't affect
your current
timeline. And so Tony still remembers maybe not having a lot of time with his dad. But after that, it's possible that Howard actually, kind of changed a little bit and made more time for Tony once he was born. I mean, we'll never know.
Nothing could have changed. It could have had no difference because people are set in their ways at the same point.
And then, Hawkeye, when the movie first starts, he's playing with his kids. And all of a sudden they're gone. And the transformation he goes through. He reverts back. He reverts to, he goes into being Ronin,
He goes into full vigilante mode because, and I see it, it's like he lost good people. He lost his family. So many good people were gone, and he's going after all of the bad people that got to live. Like, I understand where he's coming from, like, in the movie basis is, all these good people died, but somehow all these bad people lived, and he wants to make sure
that the bad people
are gone. They don't deserve to live past that snap when there was so many good people who were gone.
And then even Natasha was traumatized by everything.
Oh yeah, she dedicated that 5 years to finding a way to undo it.
Well, she felt responsible because everybody else that had been responsible before him was gone. Yeah. There was nobody else there.
Yeah, and
the whole team was gone.
Yeah, everybody was gone. So, what was left was her and Cap, and Cap was trying to move on. You can see that, but he even says, like, I keep telling people to move on, but we don't, because they're still trying to find a way to undo it through the whole, that whole 5 years. They were trying to find a way to undo it.
But if they had just moved on, nothing would have changed.
Yeah, nothing would have changed. Had they moved on, they wouldn't have gotten all of those people back. And that's where, it's, really sad is that Natasha, she literally gave everything to getting it to undo it. So
cried on that one.
Yeah, so...
I did cry on that one.
Yeah. So, Natasha flings herself off of the cliff to, so they can get the Soul Stone so that they can undo it. But here's the thing. So... we have this thing called the Marvel Encyclopedia if we ever have questions on something and we can't figure out the answer. After Gamora was sacrificed for the Time Stone, we looked it up. And Gamora, the Soul Stone, we looked it up, and Gamora is stuck in the Soul Stone, and Adam Warlock plays a big part of that.
She joins Adam Warlock.
And so, in the very, very end of Guardians 2, the credits scene, they make a mention of Adam, which I'm assuming is Adam Warlock. So I'm wondering with Guardians 3 if they're going to somehow find a way to release... Adam Warlock is going to come into play, and they're going to find a way to release Gamora and maybe even Natasha from the Soul Stone, so that they can come back.
How are they going to do that? The Soul Stone was destroyed.
No, it wasn't.
Quantum Realm.
It was. All of the Infinity Stones.
No, they took the stones back and put them in their timelines.
But I'm
so
saying,
they can go back into that timeline to get the stone.
But in that timeline, Gamora's soul is not in the stone.
Well, so I'm thinking, because they put it back where it belongs, so I'm wondering if they're going to use it to go back to after that fact, get the stone. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do it. I think Adam Warlock is going to play a big role in how it's done.
And we can sit here and we can, throw our theories out there,
but here's
and
the
it
thing.
will be nothing.
I love Natasha. I love Black Widow. There was so many rumors going around that they were going to do a Black Widow movie. And that's all been, destroyed now because Natasha's gone. Or are they going to find a way around it, bring Natasha back, and then do a Black Widow movie?
Or are they going to do something from before? They don't stick in timeline.
No, and I did read that the next step in the Marvel Universe is to explore more of the previous time. WandaVision is going to take place in the 1950s. So
which
maybe
will be very interesting.
It is possible that what we end up seeing with the Black Widow movie, it has more to do with the beginning of her becoming the Black Widow and her training and everything that she went through in the beginning.
That's what I've heard. I heard that the Black Widow movie is going to be a prequel.
Okay, so that
explains where did
she
come from?
That explains how she's going to come into play when she technically sacrificed herself.
That was just so sad.
Yeah,
that was just so sad.
Well, them both fighting to throw themselves off.
Yeah,
and Hawkeye throws himself off, and she chases after him, jumps off as well, hits his arrow to hit into the wall so that he stops, and then she continues like, well.
And the look on her face when she says, "Just let me go."
I mean,
I'm prepared to do this. Just let me go. I'm sitting there.
But at the same point, like, he had so much. His family was gonna. I mean, in her mind, he had so much.
Exactly.
He had so much
she
to
really
live
was
for.
coming back.
Yeah, that he had so much to live for, whereas she had him and she had the Avengers, and that's all she had. She didn't have a family. She didn't have kids, and Clint had kids, and he had a wife, and so.
How did Red Skull know who her father was?
He's kind of like, I've realized that he's all...
Because he says
he's kind of all-knowing. Because, like, he's a part of, like, the soul. Like,
he's
part of the soul.
So I think he's just kind of, like, all-knowing, because he says daughter of Ivan, and, you know, Clint's like, so what? He knows who your dad is, and she's like, I didn't know.
Yeah, but, like... Yeah. I think because he's part of the soul stone and, like, all of that, they see all the souls. Just because it's not taken by that soul, I think that in, like, the Marvel universe, that's kind of where all souls go.
Okay.
It's just...
to the soul stone, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So it makes me wonder, now that the soul stone is gone, where do all the souls go?
But it's not, because it was returned to its timeline.
But it's not in that timeline.
I think no matter what, if someone is sacrificed for the soul stone, no matter what timeline that it's in, I think they stay in the stone.
I don't know how that's going to work, though, because, I mean, at that point, that person's soul is in their human, their alien, their whatever the heck they are, that body. Their soul is currently contained in that form.
Right.
So, how is your soul in two spots at once?
Different timelines.
But it's in that timeline.
Back to the Future.
It's all bullshit. We learned this in this
movie.
Back
to the Future.
It's
Back
all
to the Future.
Bullshit.
Okay, so we've got Tony and Cap got their stone.
With a little bit of an issue.
And then Natasha and Hawkeye got theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bruce, a.k.a. Hulk, talked to the Ancient One, which, you know, Tilda Swinton is such a weird... every movie she's ever done. I mean, when she
plays the odd characters.
Yeah, always.
And I think she's just really good at playing the odd characters.
But she always plays that odd character. So.
But that odd character is always a little bit different, so she's never playing the same character.
No, like no matter what she plays, it's always different from a role that she's done before.
Yeah.
But it's always like this slightly different kind of character.
Yeah. But it keeps her life interesting. Whereas a lot of actors get kind of stuck in a...
Yeah, they get stuck in that bubble.
That niche, and just, like, that's who they're known for. And, like, everything you see them in is very similar.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is an action movie actor. You've never seen him in a romance movie.
No, but he has done a couple of comedies.
He has done a couple comedies.
So Bruce has talked the Time Stone out of the Ancient One.
If we're going to talk about Bruce, can we just discuss the Bruce Hulk combination? I loved the movie, don't get me wrong. I did not like that.
I did. It's actually in comic books, like, that's a huge thing. He has multiple personalities.
Well, he came to terms.
I know, he came to, like, a harmony, and I understand why the filmmakers did it. I just feel like they tried to make it more comedic than it really needed to be, and, like, the dab in the restaurant, like, I thought that was just really, really dumb. I get why they did it, because Hulk wouldn't come out in Infinity War, and we had a discussion about this, is, you know, Bruce says his key to turning into Hulk his secret is that he's always angry. He wasn't angry in Infinity War. He was scared, which is why the Hulk wouldn't come out.
In our opinion.
In our opinion, that's what I think.
I think the Hulk was also scared because he'd already gotten his ass kicked.
Exactly.
Well, exactly.
And so in that 5 years, Bruce kind of came to a harmony with Hulk where they could, coincide and be the same person. They would have, the Hulk's brute strength with the brains of Bruce. And so I totally understand why they get it. I don't think they didn't need to make it this huge comedic arch that they turned it into.
Well, because in the comic books, it's actually he is Dr. Hulk at that point.
Yeah.
There's so many different Hulks. Like if you look into it, because Ben and I did after the movie. When we got home at 2 a.m. Yeah. That's what we did. Yeah. And I was up at 7:40, so life's golden. I'm totally awake right now.
Maybe I should have made you some coffee instead of giving you water.
You want me to have a heart attack? Can't have coffee.
No, that's right. I had some really good decaf in there.
But, like I said, I totally understand why they did it. I think they tried to make it more of a comedy than it really needed to be. They just kind of needed to address that he had come to a harmony and they could have just...
And that the Hulk actually has a sense of humor. It's not all smash.
Well, I think that's where the comedy kind of came in, to show both sides of him really are in harmony. Because if you... Like, Ragnarok. The Hulk is funny.
Yeah, he's really hilarious.
He's funny. So, when you take both Banner and the Hulk and you put them into one, he's going to have that humor and that of the spotlight. Because Hulk loves being the center of attention. So, I think that's why they did it that way, because the Hulk is that I want to be the center of attention. Yeah. I want people to want to take pictures with me. I want to make them smile.
You want to take a picture? Come on, let's take a...
Yeah. So, I think that is really the merging of the two, because the Hulk is very that. Banner is very smart. Still very comical, very awkward. But that's really a merging of the two, is having all of that comedy in there, because that is the Hulk. Find that out in Ragnarok. He likes to be everybody's favorite.
Yep. True. Yeah.
The green in the stands, everybody cheering for him. That was his, bread and butter. And then when Banner came out, he's like, what the hell is going on? Because that's not Banner.
Yeah.
So when they merged the two together, I think that's a lot of where the humor came in.
It makes sense. I see it now. I don't know. I didn't find it quite as funny.
It's kind of funny seeing
whereas I feel
the Hulk with glasses going like this, going, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yep.
But what was cool was they made Hulk look, and I know it's all CGI and everything, it was Hulk's body with Mark Ruffalo's face. Mm-hmm. And I love me some Mark Ruffalo, but it had his face, his expressions, and I liked that. It was kind of odd, but it was kind of, if you go back and you look at Hulk, like in the first Avengers movie, he doesn't look like Mark Ruffalo.
Nope.
In this one, he did.
But that was also the merging of the two.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when they came to that harmony, they kind of brought both their assets into it.
Hulk wasn't taking over everything.
Right.
In this one, he could talk like a person, not just Hulk smash.
Yeah. And then, so it's, they got the time stone. Oh, Thor seeing his mom to get the ether out of Jane.
And she knew.
Yeah, she knew. What's wrong with your eye? What's wrong with your eye?
Why are you fat?
Yeah.
That's the dead giveaway.
Eat a salad. Please, for the love of God, eat a salad.
I was really hoping at the end of the movie, and she's like, well, what are you going to do? The Valkyrie? And he goes, I don't know. I was really hoping, I'm going to go eat a salad.
No, my favorite Thor line of the whole movie is like, what do you think runs through my veins? And then you see War Machine in the background going, Cheese Whiz?
Yeah, it was just, seeing that it was nice to see Natalie Portman. Because we haven't seen Natalie Portman since, The Dark World.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool to see her. And then the Rocket is just... I love Rocket. He was so determined. He just wanted his family back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He just
that was
his
the only.
family
I mean,
back.
he was,
he lost everything.
He literally all of his family besides Nebula was gone.
Yeah.
That's all.
And that
Nebula
scene
really
in the very
wasn't family at that point.
That scene in the very beginning of the movie with Nebula and Raccoon and Rocket when they held heads, it was kind of like, oh.
Because they had lost everybody important
because
to them.
they weren't family until after.
And then they Thanos inserts the bad Nebula, the past Nebula.
So upset. I'm like, they should have figured out something was different.
She pulled it off though.
But they
never pulled it off
a ton of like what she was like.
Yeah.
So I feel like there were like more like that people could have picked up on.
Yeah.
Because they showed such short spurts of her.
Yeah.
As bad Nebula.
Yeah.
And good Nebula.
You mean crazy Nebula? Because she was crazy. She was crazy.
Good Nebula was batshit crazy too.
Yeah. Crazy. And then and then everything goes to shit. It all blows up.
Well,
literally blows up. Literally, Thanos blows up the building. And, this is where the whole battle really comes into play. And, Tony and Steve and Thor, like the three of the original.
Hawkeye.
Well, Hawkeye was still running from the Chitauri at that point. But those three really, teaming up together after so much had happened and going after Thanos was a big enough distraction for everybody to get out of the rubble. And then they they did the snap, so everything's back at that point. Yeah. And then her favorite part of this whole movie is all of a sudden you see all of the circles.
Yeah. All the little golden circles. Yeah.
Because now everybody's back.
And they were all in Wakanda. So they all had to come in through.
Well, not everybody, because think about it. Thanos wiped out half the universe.
No, I'm just saying, like, their people
were all in Wakanda. Were in Wakanda, but there were so many circles because everybody that they had wiped out was coming into play.
Well, yeah, the circles weren't.
All of the Grandmasters, like
it was that. It's
and then they were bringing people with them. With that, and I love Tom Holland as Peter Parker. I think he's one of the best Peter Parkers we've had. Mm-hmm. And when he reunites with Tony, and he's like, Doctor Strange, I came back, and I thought it had only been a little bit, and apparently, he told me it's been 5 years, and then he started doing the sparkly thing with his hands, and then Tony just hugs him. Because that was like that was a tearjerker. Because that was definitely a tear. I think as much as Tony had tried to move on, the one thing he regretted is that he was never able to save Peter.
Yep. There was no way he could have saved him though.
I mean, he treated him Tony always kind of was like the father role to Peter. Mm-hmm. Peter doesn't have a dad. He doesn't have a father figure in his life. So Tony really kind of took on that role as the father figure. And that was Tony's first really experience being a dad.
And it was the hardest loss for him, too, because it was like he was losing a child. It was not his biological. So for them to hear it, to, reunite, and Tony doesn't even say anything. He just goes up and hugs him, as soon as he cuts Peter off.
And then you've got all the time, and all the little sparkly circles. And here comes T'Challa. I'm like,
and they start chanting, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, the war cry, man. The war cry. It took everything in my power not to scream it in the theaters.
I would have gone so funky legs.
Yeah, I was just sitting there going.
So I mean, and that's I love how everybody, because Thanos destroyed half the universe. So all of these people from different universes are coming in, and they are really, they're all fighting against Thanos. Mm-hmm. Everybody that he destroyed is fighting against Thanos. And,
you run away.
And, you have
the girl power.
Oh, yes. So that is my favorite scene in the movie. Don't get me wrong. Marvel does have some girl powers, with Black Widow. but they've never given women like serious recognition in these movies, and for them to have this whole scene where Peter's trying to just keep the glove away from Thanos, and all of the women from across the Marvel universe come in and they're like, "We got you, kid," and like
Valkyrie on the
Pegasus, Pepper in her Iron Man suit.
That was my favorite thing. Ben didn't pick up on it.
I got chill buzz.
No, but when Pepper showed up in the suit,
yes.
Because at the very beginning he goes, "Your mom never wears anything I buy you." Buy her.
Yeah. And she has the helmet. So like he was making her a suit this whole time, and Pepper just pops out in her suit. She's like, "Okay, let's do this." Like,
yeah. But Ben didn't pick up on it. He's like, "Who's that?" I was like, "That's Pepper!" And I did semi-yell it in the theater. But, I mean, there's enough noise around that most people...
Yeah, a lot of cheering going on.
Well, we're at Sinopolis, too, so, like, there's enough noise and you're like, away from people in the seats, so, like, it's not as bad.
You should have heard it in our theater.
But, like, screaming through the whole theater. Like,
yeah. But that was probably my favorite thing, because he's like, "Your mom never wears anything I make her."
And then here she comes, and she's all badass.
Yeah,
you know, and then you've got Hope, the Wasp, and she's like, "I got you, Cap." And she was making fun of Scott Lang for calling him Cap all through Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Exactly, and then she comes into play, and she's like, "I got you, Cap," and like this whole huge like girl power. Like group, like you've got Shuri, you've got Wanda, you've
and Wanda's pissed.
Yeah.
She's like,
he killed Vision. Like she's pissed.
She's pissed.
Like
rightfully so,
right? Yeah, and but just to see all this girl power all in one, and
they finally Marvel finally acknowledging they have these badass women in their universe, and they finally acknowledge them. Like they've got Valkyrie on the Pegasus and Pepper, and
they really started with the acknowledgement in Captain Marvel.
Yes, that was like the first woman superhero movie that Marvel has put out.
Well, she led the whole girl power.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Got there, she started it, and then everybody kind of filled in around her, like. We'll get it there.
Yeah, and it was all the women that did it. Like, you don't see any of the men coming in. Like, the women are like, "Peter, we got you. Let's do this." And it was like a hot potato. Like, me and Alex were sitting in the theater. Like, as soon as they start passing it back and forth between people, Alex and her going, "Hot potato, hot potato, hot potato." It was like they were playing a game of hot potato. They were just, like, passing it around, in which, it was actually really smart to get it away from Thanos. Like,
but he outsmarted him.
Yeah, and then,
I honestly thought...
I held my breath, and I'm not going to lie. I held my breath when Steve was fighting Thanos.
And he's like, he breaks the shield.
He keeps on breaking
down
the
ground.
shield.
And I was like half covering my eyes. I was like, "Oh my God, they're going to kill him. They're going to kill him."
Yeah. That was just like, that moment, I was like, please don't tell me this is the way he dies. Because we all knew that he was, he wanted out.
Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were both leaving the franchise, and we knew that. But I was like, can they give him a dignified end? Like, send him back to Peggy.
Yeah. Which is what you and I had talked about. That would be the ultimate. But yeah, I was watching, and then and you see him get up, and he's just like, oh, he straps on the broken shield, and he just goes for it, and then Thanos gets the gauntlet again.
And
then he snaps.
And if you he gets the gauntlet back. But if you look, they switch over to Doctor Strange. Like, Tony looks at Doctor Strange,
and he goes one time,
and
one
Tony
way.
Like, he had told Tony, like, I can't tell you how it's gonna end because then it won't happen that way. And he he gets the gauntlet, and Tony looks at Doctor Strange, and he goes like this. And Tony knew exactly what was going to happen, and he did. He sacrificed himself for everybody. He grabs the stones, and he does the snap, and he gets rid of all of Thanos and the Chitauri. And
you're gonna make me cry.
And I mean, it's heartbreaking. Like, I was really hoping that they would just maybe put him into a mentor role, so Robert Downey Jr. didn't necessarily have to be in the movies, and he could leave the universe. And then he does the snap, and then that's where I mean, he dies, and you see Peter. He's so excited. You know, we won, we beat him. But I mean,
we won, Mr. Stark. We won. Yeah. We did it.
But I mean, and that's where the tears come in.
That's when the tears started.
I mean, Pepper comes up and he's like, "You can rest." She's like, "You can rest now. We'll be okay." And then the light goes out, and his heart's done, and I mean, I'm bawling, bawling in the theater, but not as loudly. There was
somebody.
I think it was a guy. It sounded a little masculine. And you could tell it was all the way in the back of the theater, just sobbing super, we were in the front sobbing super, super loud in the theater. Like, very, very loudly. I'm like, at least I wasn't sobbing, but I mean, I don't think there was really a dry high.
But I started crying as soon as Tony looked to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange puts up the finger.
You know what's going to happen.
I was like, he's going to put on the gauntlet. He can't survive that.
He doesn't.
Because he's human.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only reason he could actually put it on was because of his power source.
And his suit.
That was the only reason that he could even hold it long enough to snap.
Yeah.
I think anybody else that was human that put it on just would have gone instantly, basically, because it's too much power.
Yeah, and then the funeral scene.
I mean, the Hulk couldn't even really.
Yeah, because he was all.
So when they do the funeral, they show everybody that he's touched in his life, and you see the Hulk, and he's got his arm in a sling, and he's burnt all the way up the side of his face from doing the snap in the first place.
So was Thanos.
Because the gauntlet was
it started as soon as he had all of the stones. Yeah. It started deteriorating his skin because
no one is supposed to hold that much power, and I think that's really what Marvel is showing is, no one person should be able to handle that amount of power, and I mean Tony knew that there was no way he was going to survive that. No human can survive that. And
he probably felt like he had to do this because, I mean, how many times in all of the movies did he say, "I'm just trying to protect us"?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what he saved everybody. And they go to the funeral scene, and everyone that he's ever touched
was there.
Like, you see Peter and Aunt May, and you see the Hulk, you see all of the Avengers.
You see
together.
The Pyms and Hope Van Dyne,
and then you see the kid from Iron Man 3. He's there, because
and Nick Fury on the porch.
Yeah, and Captain Marvel. Everyone that he ever touched their lives was there. Yeah. And then you see, at the end, Happy is talking with Morgan, and they're talking about cheeseburgers. And that goes all the way back to Iron Man 1 when, when Tony finally gets out of the desert, first thing he asks Happy to do is go through a drive-thru so he can get a cheeseburger.
Yeah. I will get you as many burgers as you want.
Exactly. And
the message from the helmet that Tony recorded
was so sweet. But he knew something was going to happen.
I love you 3000.
I love you 3000. Yeah. I think that one's going to be one.
I think that's going to be a big one for a long time.
Yeah.
Does anybody, when they see Nick Fury, laugh? Because now every time I see the scar and how he lost his eyesight.
I thought it was going to be this big, huge story. He lost it in a battle.
Freaking cat.
He lost it in a battle of some kind. No, he was talking to cat, and the cat got sick of it.
An alien cat.
Yeah.
But it just, oh my God. Every time I see it. Even seeing him at the funeral made me slightly chuckle.
Yeah.
Because every time
Through my tears.
Every time I see that, I laugh. I thought it was going to be this big, huge story, and it's a cat scratch. An alien cat scratch.
But a cat scratch.
Yeah.
Because he pissed off the cat.
Stop baby talking to cat. And then, the last few minutes is Cap. They sent him out very gracefully.
And I love how they did
it. Because
I still cried.
Through all of the movies, he never loses his love for Peggy.
There was a line in the movie too. I can't remember who he was talking to. Just goes to show I need to go see it again. But he says, "I gave up. I met the love of my life, and I gave it up." It was
during the support group.
Is that what it was?
During the support group, he said, "I met the love of my life, and then I went into the ice for 70 years."
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I thought that, you know, and
I think that was kind of like foreshadowing on what decision he was really going to make in the end when it came to he put the stones back, and then he went back just far enough that it's past the war and he can be with Peggy. Yeah. And I was reading something on one of the internet websites, and in Captain America: Winter Soldier, there's an interview with Peggy, and she mentions her husband. And so they were wondering, well, whatever happened to Peggy's husband once, you know, Steve comes back? And the theory is that it was all just a smokescreen. Her husband was Steve Rogers, but he stayed, you know, out of sight.
Nobody knew who he was.
Nobody really knew who she was
because
married
it was
to.
A different time.
Because even when he's sitting by her bedside in the hospital, there's pictures of her children, but there's no pictures of her husband.
True.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And in Winter Soldier, when he's carrying her casket, it was just heartbreaking.
Yeah, you don't see her husband.
Yeah.
And no one really acknowledges Steve. And it wasn't her children that gave the eulogy, it was her niece. So... it makes me think that is the theory might be right. He went back, and he just stayed out of the limelight. He let Peggy be, the star of the show, and he got to be with Peggy, but no one really knew because he didn't want to mess up the timeline.
Yeah,
and I love how they did that. He returned, and that scene.
Where he came back in and Bucky's just goes.
I think Bucky knew the whole time because you could see it in his face when Steve stepped up on the platform and said goodbye to everyone. Bucky,
don't do anything stupid. I can't because you're still here.
Bucky knew what was going to happen, and then when Cap doesn't come back after 5 seconds.
He knew.
He knew, and he looked over to the bench. He was the one that noticed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he knew what was going to happen.
He came back. It just wasn't in his timeline.
Exactly.
And that moment between Steve and Sam was so touching.
I don't want to live in a world where Captain America doesn't exist anymore, and that's when he's like, well, now he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all this time I thought that Bucky picked up the Captain America. But then I was reading something, and according to the comics, actually, Sam is the one that picks
up the mantle.
Yeah.
I had heard that Bucky was going to pick up the mantle, and that does happen, I think, in a version of the comics, because, there's, they have the universe, but then they have, these little trickles that go off of it that don't necessarily follow. And so, I like how they did it. Sam will make a great Captain America, and they're going to have that Falcon.
And Steve got to have a life with the love of his life.
Exactly. And they're going to have a Falcon and Winter Soldier show on Disney+. So I think we'll get to, see a little bit of Sam with the Captain America,
Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll actually do a Marvel movie with Sam as Captain America and with Bucky.
Yeah, because they're going to have the TV show with the two of them. And this is completely going off track. With the Disney Plus and everything, Loki's getting a TV show.
Yep.
And so I was talking with somebody, and I think it's going to be the version of Loki
that
takes the Tesseract and gets away.
In 2012.
I think that's going to be the Loki.
And you know what? I think you're right, because I think I read something about that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be because technically Loki's dead in the timeline, but he escaped in 2012, which means a version of him is still alive.
Yeah. So.
Which is great, because I love Tom Hiddleston.
There's a version in every timeline where he's still alive.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because he's the god of mischief.
He's got to get some mischief on.
But,
all in all, I absolutely loved the movie. They
didn't let me down.
They didn't let me down. This is the end of this saga of...
Actually, the Spider-Man Far From Home. is the end of this saga.
Okay.
So it's after the fact.
Yeah.
So I mean, this version is ending, but there's still I mean, this Marvel Cinematic Universe is still going to keep happening, but the Infinity Saga is done.
Yeah, Marvel's not gonna end, partially because they make a ton of money.
They made $1.6 billion opening weekend.
Opening weekend's not done.
Exactly. That's what
that was like 2 days.
It was
3 days.
2.5
I read it just a couple of hours ago that at this point, worldwide, opening weekend, it's like 1.6 billion.
I mean, they're not going anywhere. There is a rumor that Marvel is going to be coming to Comic-Con, so there might be some more info because they're coming. It's possible that they're coming with Disney Plus.
Interesting.
So I mean, there's a good possibility we'll learn a little bit more about it this summer.
Yeah, that'll be really cool to see.
I really enjoyed the movies. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 6 thumbs up?
Yep. Yeah.
6 thumbs up for the movie.
Yeah.
Really fantastic.
I need to go see it again.
I hope if you've watched this video, you already saw it. If you
we probably
didn't,
should put some sort of like...
trust me, I said at the beginning there were spoilers ahead.
Okay.
But if you watch this and you didn't see the movie, then you're the kind of
know it all.
You now know everything that happened, and you're the kind of person.
And it may not necessarily be in order.
It's not in order.
Because we did jump around.
Yeah, there was a lot of jumping.
From the beginning to the end, to the beginning.
To the middle. And
exactly.
And then the little time speed.
So I hope everyone that watched this has already seen the movie. I hope you really enjoyed it. I mean, lots of movies coming out in the future, so maybe we'll do more of this. But I mean, I definitely give it 2 thumbs up, 6 thumbs up all around. Let us know what you think. Please subscribe to the channel, Nerdy Girls United. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll see more videos and more content coming soon.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.